Yes,
All
you
right,
shall.
Tuesday, pushing the button on Tuesday. Big week.
Holy cow.
She's delightful already, by the way.
I know.
I'll say that right off the bat.
The
Hello there,
sweetest.
Mrs. Ryan.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
I'll bring some stuff in here.
Hi, everyone. I'll dance while we get
Yeah, you dance
situated.
in the meantime. Thank you for
And
that.
then we'll get...
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. I turned the camera off. I'm assuming that'll come right back on in a second.
Keep dancing.
Unplug the camera in the middle of the screen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we can't do that. All right. All right, let's see. Here we go. Hello, Mrs. Ryan. Hello, everybody else. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, February 19th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. Thank you for being here. Our guest tonight is Cathy Ladman. She's a pleasure already. I can't wait to get her in here.
So
You're
sweet.
going to recognize her face. You're going to recognize her voice. I don't even want to get into how many things she's in, but I think this is going to be one of those really fun ones for me, you know.
Well, yeah. I
She's
think
been
so,
on
too.
Johnny. She's going to tell us about Johnny, and to me, that's a big deal.
That's the neatest.
In the meantime, Mrs. Ryan, do you have anything for the hellos?
No, I'll just say hi again.
Hi again.
Hi.
I know, I make you say that so many times while I get situated.
Oh, well.
I appreciate you playing
I'll
along.
just talk to one person individually. Hello. Hello. Oh, I actually do. I really wanted to shout out to the 3PP guys.
Oh.
So I wore this shirt,
Boy,
but I
look at
was
this camera's got a mind of its own now. Sorry, go ahead. There you
so
go.
cold today. I put on my favorite sweater.
Do you know
but
what's funny? I almost put that. I did actually put that shirt on today as well, and I took it off because tomorrow they leave for their big thing, and I thought to myself, I'll put it on tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So you are adorable. We've got the. We're definitely on the same page. I would like to talk very briefly about yesterday.
Okay.
We had Rex McAfee here, which was fantastic. The Porsche people are digging that episode very much.
Oh, good.
It's great to get that history, and I feel like we cracked the egg, and now when he comes back, we'll be able to like really get into the nitty-gritty, and then this is what my concept for this whole show always was. We're going to get to know, we're building relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's fun. It's
From
fun.
the ground up, and like I didn't really know who he was, so like
Yeah, no,
it
me
was
either.
a full new introduction of life to me, and he's fascinating.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. In the meantime, though, right, you may have heard him during the credits. Right after the cameras rolled, luckily we shoot this show what they call ISO in the business, means isolated. All the different cameras record individually, so even though we're switching it live and whatever, and that's the whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, we have all the feeds, even though people at home don't get to see them. So I just want to show you something that happened when we were wrapping up the show yesterday. This is from last night. Roll it out. Olstead, also from a bunch of TV shows, but Tommy's wife for us. And Thursday we've got Steve Heitner from Seinfeld. Daniel from Seinfeld. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I love you, Mrs. Ryan. We love you, Rex.
I love you guys.
We love you at home. Love one another, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching.
Yep.
Oh, geez, sorry, Rex. That's the first time that's happened.
I did that at a coffee shop.
And in case you didn't get that, we love you at home. Love one another, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, geez, sorry, Rex.
That's okay.
That's the first time that's happened.
I
This stuff never felt more like Letterman's than when we start making a mess. Do you know what I mean? Truly felt like the old days.
I did not know that's what you were going to show. That was such a funny moment.
I know. Oh, in the meantime, though, also I wanted to mention, Rex was, I don't know if we even talked about it, in addition to being involved with the 356 Club, he's also the editor of their magazine, so he gave us a couple issues.
Yeah, we get on all the writing stuff after the camera stopped.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's more stuff to talk about when he comes back.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I can't wait.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time. We're very excited. Very excited today.
Oh, yeah?
Today is Tuesday. We're launching a new segment on the show. We had a submission from a very good friend, and we decided to create a new segment. We were having some issues with titles. We were trying to think behind the ropes, beyond the ropes, behind the scenes, backstage pass. For right now, we just decided to keep it simple. going to check in, go behind the stage, go behind the stage, go behind the ropes, go all those things at One Porsche Drive.
Oh, I'd like
with Ray Schaefer. Roll it, Hal.
Good evening, Jay and Nicole. Welcome to the Porsche Experience Center Atlanta. I wanted to give you and your viewers a quick walk around of the new vehicles that we have on exhibit here in the Heritage Gallery. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Guys, have a great show.
Ah, look at that guy.
I love seeing that guy's face.
I know. Thank you, Ray
Hi,
Schaefer.
Ray. Thank you, Ray Schaefer.
On the front of that, Mrs. Ryan, let's just say, if not already, please consider following Ray Schaefer for your backstage pass to Porsche Classic, brand heritage, and travel-related material. That's Ray.Schaefer. Thank you.
That's
Love
great.
that guy. So cool to get.
He's the one that likes the chairs and the house.
Yeah, he's got his own collection of chairs. Absolutely. All right, Mrs. Ryan, I've got one more video, and I'd like to get onto the news and get Kathy in here as soon as possible, if that's all right. We'll abbreviate that stuff as quickly as we can. We have to check in with this one because of the drama from yesterday. Let's go over here and check in with Brooke and the Kazman.
Oh, man.
No, if you pay attention behind me, Brooke pointed out it is the Ryan Network. Apparently, in this bar, we're in a parking garage. It's not a bar, it's a parking garage. We're in downtown, whatever. But this guy right here with the GMC has the Ryan Network. So that's kind of like you-ish. Go with that. Look, everybody's over there. They noticed it from back there. Love you guys.
Oh, my. Oh, so that was abbreviated. All right. Well, good. That was quick.
Close.
That was fantastic. Going back to yesterday, though, let's see.
Have you been accepted?
Well, no. I waited to the end of the day, and then I unfollowed. Because you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
After that, you asked me for it, then I do it on the air and the whole bit. And
Yeah.
I went like,
I
no,
know.
no. So I undid it. I just did it again now, and we'll see if throughout the show if she happens to, and then we'll know.
Okay.
All right, Mrs. Ryan, it's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
Dun, dun, dun.
What's going on? Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, I did not know. I don't really know how these work, and I read up a little bit about it, so it makes more sense now.
Okay.
But the geysers in Yellowstone National Park seem to be more active than normal.
Yeah, everything's more active than normal lately.
Everything seems to be, and some of them are, and those are the ones I read about, so who knows if all of them are blah, blah.
Oh, I see.
But they're kind of fascinating. Like, they're basically like funneling water through the earth, like the top layer of like above the magma, and like blah, blah. That's neat to me.
Yeah,
But-
Earth's pimples, right?
Yeah, you could look at it that way.
Well, I mean, they're releasing. There's stuff coming out. There's stuff being worked out.
Yeah.
Stuff in the system's being worked out to the surface. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I didn't really know until this morning.
It's kind of like lava, volcanoes, same kind of deal.
Yeah, I didn't really know how that worked. But there's this one geyser in Yellowstone that's been super active. It just came back on the scene like last March.
This isn't Old Faithful. This is something different, right?
It's a different one, and there's a couple nearby. But this one opened like 35 eruptions last year and already 5 this year, and it's usually like lowest is 4 days between, and most is 50 years. So that's a lot
Ooh,
for this one.
Holy smokes, that's a lot.
Yeah, and there's a couple near it that are acting up. So, as one geologist said, like, there's no pattern. Like, the minute you find one, it goes away. So, like, I don't know what this means, but it's interesting.
Oh, they're all one-timers?
Some of them just operate on their own cycles.
Oh, I
so
see.
they just
They're
go
just
off
vents.
whenever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, once I learn more about them and that they're just like water.
What's Old
steam
Faithful? I
engines.
mean, you know, in the cartoons, it's like there was a timer and it goes every hour or whatever. You know what I mean? But I've never been there in real life. What's it actually like?
I haven't been there either.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's
Kathy,
more
you ever been to Old Faithful?
regimented.
You ever been to Old Faithful? Have you really?
Yes, when I was 10.
When you were 10. About how often does it go off? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't know.
Who
Nobody
knows?
45 minutes or something like that.
Oh, so
Oh,
it's
it is.
more
So
regular.
It's very often.
Okay.
Yeah, very often. No. Our guest is willing to look up, do research for us.
You're
no,
awesome.
thank you
No.
so much.
Some of them are more consistent than others. This one is not so consistent, and it's been going off a lot. That's news. There's
Update, still no follow back.
no.
Next month.
Okay.
I'll
There's-
check in each time.
We'll check in. Okay. There's some new insight into the workings and the makings of PTSD that are interesting, but seem a little short-sighted. So I'm
Okay.
not like, this is how it is, but I'm saying let's expand and zoom out, because what they found was that the emotion center and the memory centers are the ones activated by PTSD. They're the ones that are the most triggered, and
Makes sense, right?
makes perfect sense
I mean, because
to me.
PTSD is essentially is a trauma memory, right? Some memory trauma.
That's part of this. It goes in there. But what they also found was that those areas of the brain have the most action when you put them in an MRI. And those were all the findings that they presented.
Is it
Like,
the fight or flight area? Is that where it is? Did we talk about this another?
no,
It's a different area.
It's a different area. But the fact that the processing is so busy in those areas, they're just like, this is what's happening. If you find a lot of busyness in this area of the brain, they might have PTSD. And I'm like, oh, let's zoom out. And like, it might have actually been created. And it goes more to what I have said often, is that there's an emotional learning that goes on while you learn intellectually. So it's
Sure.
combined.
Yeah.
So that's, I think,
We're
the
a very
disconnect.
complicated system. People think we're very simple. I know everything. Nobody knows shit.
Nobody knows. So they're looking into this PTSD thing, which is great and super interesting, but it also can expand further. So if anyone is looking into themselves, like, it is more than just like military PTSD. Like, PTSD can come from anything. Like, I was on a boat when I was 3 years old that I know is like a stored trauma for me.
Yeah, we talked
So
about
you
that.
never know.
Car accidents, falling down the stairs. It can be anything, really.
Yeah.
Abusive relationship, any kind of relationship, really, good or bad. I mean,
Tot-
there's also,
yes.
it's really just memories that you attach feelings to, you know.
Yeah. So when it's triggered,
Negative ones. When
it's
stuff
just
comes
like,
up, like, oh, we've all of these things have aligned before, and it fucking went awful. I don't want that to happen again. That's really what's going on inside.
Yeah.
You're at a cellular level.
Yeah,
Anyway, go
which
ahead.
is
Sorry,
the
that's
human baseline.
Very
just
cool.
So FYI.
Any progress is good progress. Or good news, rather.
Agreed. My suggestion and example for the day that we need to really zoom out and get back to basics. A woman had a baby halfway through the flight from Puerto Rico to Florida. I did not know you could fly.
Puerto Rico to Florida is very short, yes?
I thought so. And halfway through, she was like, I need to have a kid. And she did, which seems crazy because a lot of reasons. This was not the first kid born on a JetBlue flight. So weird. I did not think
that's
you were.
pretty common.
I don't think
A lot of
so.
people die on planes. People don't know that either.
People die,
It
but
happens
you're
all the
not
time.
supposed to be able to fly after like 7 months.
Well, yeah, it's a doctor thing too. I mean, no, I don't think the TSA is checking that when they're.
No,
scanning
but
docs.
this is my point of like people need to not be so polite sometimes and like maybe ask a question. Like she's probably talking about it a lot. How far along are you? I don't want to be on a plane with someone having a baby.
I'm not placing judgment until I have more details, and I don't necessarily want more details.
Yeah, well, okay. If I was on the plane, I would ask
I'll
questions.
just say this. How about that?
All right. Well, lastly, I was going to pass this by. I really wasn't going to even go near the story until I realized where the engineers and scientists in the article were from.
Okay.
A really prominent university near me, Rochester Institute of Technology.
Oh, RIT.
Yeah, RIT. Some engineers and scientists there are making a toilet seat that monitors your blood pressure.
Well, we're getting it. A lot of people die on the toilet too. If we're going to get that right. Planes and toilets. People are dying all over the place.
Yes,
Don't get me started on plane toilets.
the technology, I'm sure, is neat. I find it odd that that's what you're spending your time ideating and thinking about, but whatever. Kudos to the technology. Yeah, and Office Space is 20 today.
The movie Office Space?
Yeah.
Mike Judge.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Jen
Oh, I love
Aniston,
that
Ron
movie.
Livingston, and Milton.
Well, a lot of people. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so good. Mike Judge is who I like him so much. He's
Yeah.
such a good guy. That's exciting. I can't believe it's 20 years ago.
20.
It's 20 years ago that I moved to Los Angeles, like in two months or something like that. And I saw that movie out here, you know?
Oh, jeez. Way to bring it all home.
No,
That's
that
how
means
it goes.
South Park's going to be 20 years. We're going into
Oh.
that whole thing, you know what I mean? Those movies still feel new to me. That's still tomorrow's comedy. Oh, I'm the old guy. Anyway, all right, Mrs. Ryan, that's been. Oh my goodness,
What's going
that's
on?
Been what's going on? Dun 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 dun. Good job, Mrs. Ryan. Let us take a quick break, and when we come back, Kathy Ladman will be in here. I'm excited about it. Let's get her in here. All sorts of stuff to talk about.
Cool.
More to come right after this. Kathy Ladman will be sitting right here. See you in a few.
When I was 3, my mother said to me, eat up your greens and say your grace. While on TV they put a dog in space and left her there. You should have seen her face. When I was 5, the dream was still alive, and Walter Cronkite said, one day we'll earn our daily bread, conducting things in outer space. But still on Earth I thrive, and you pretend I'm not alive, and walk by with my substitute, while I fasten the oxygen valve on my spacesuit. When I was 8, we shared a cloak rack, it was great. I pretended I had so much on my plate. I had a speech to write about moonshot trajectory, and during phonics class, perfected my delivery. Now the band's playing Hail to the Chief, while my capsule's out floating by some tropical reef. All the experts can agree on regarding your motives in the Cape Canaveral crash is that they know nothing. It puzzles me so. It puzzles me so. Puzzles me so. It puzzles me so. Puzzles me so. It puzzles me so. spacecraft of my own. But there you sit, still upon your earthly throne. Hey, darling, throw the space papa bone. Don't touch that dial, don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief. Don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief. Don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief. Don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief. Don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief. Don't hang up that phone. Band's playing Hail to the Chief.
Just come back and I'll tell you all about me,
Call
Kathy.
Mrs. Ryan also, or can I call her Nicole?
Call me whatever you like.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, we should probably tell you what the reasoning is behind that, because have we ever talked about it on the show?
I don't think so.
We came up with that not because I'm the guy who wants my name on things, because she doesn't like her name Nicole.
Oh, well then I'll call you Mrs. Ryan too.
You call
if
me
you want.
whatever.
But wasn't that the original
Yeah,
impetus?
that's the original.
Why don't you change your name?
There's so much shit going on, man.
Oh.
Like, realistically, like, how many people really are like, you know.
Right.
But I get it.
I like that you've taken it on almost as a character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's more of like a social media. It's a hashtag. You know what I mean? It's more of a
Right.
joke.
Right.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are here. Kathy Ladman is sitting here, and I am just delighted that you're in our home.
Thank you. I don't even.
Thanks so much for being
I'm gonna
here.
Wear this, whatever.
You look
I
great.
Have it on.
You do look great. You want to do a camera check there? Do you want to see? You really do look great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
You want a wide shot? Everything's good?
Everything's fine.
You look lovely.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, the top of my socks are showing. Okay.
Hilarious.
Yep,
I
get the
like
whole
those
thing.
socks.
All right.
I
All
know.
right, now we've gone through the technicals. You asked what my background was. I started
Yes.
when I was in high school. Junior year, I did an internship. I was failing my classes because I wanted to spend all the time in the television station,
Right.
television studio at the school.
Right. You had a
and
TV studio in your school?
I switched high schools.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. The town I told you about,
Nice,
they
yes.
had the money and the facilities.
Right.
I did a version. Hey, I'm going to blow your mind here. All right.
Okay.
See, I think I've got these loaded in. I don't know. Yeah, here's one. Look at that. That's me in high school.
Behind the desk?
Yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Look at that.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Now that microphone, I replicated the set to look like Letterman's and everything, and that
Right.
microphone I ended up giving to David Letterman, and it ended up going on his desk for
Really?
about 10 years on the show, yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, the first part is that I stole his and then gave him mine. So I don't know how fantastic it is, but it's a hell of a story now, 25 years
Yes.
later. But because of all of that, I actually was doing internships at TV stations locally, and then senior year I was working at 30 Rock. I worked on Conan. That's when I met your friend who just passed away. We were just talking about
Oh, Kevin.
when he was doing Conan way back when in the early 90s. Oh, don't worry. You want to take it?
No, no. I don't
sure?
need to take it, yeah.
All right. Anyway, and worked my way up from there. I did all the SNL and all the shows at 30 Rock, and then I moved out here in '99, and I started over again. Went back to being a PA and climbed up again.
I was working at 30 Rock in 2002
Doing in what capacity?
as a writer on the Caroline Ray Show. It was a very short-lived show.
Hang
Yeah,
on, you
but it
took
was-
over that show from us. I worked on the Rosie show previously.
Oh, right. So you know a lot of my
it's in-
friends. You know
prob-
Debbie Casper?
I don't know Debbie Casper. I remember Daniel Kellison was there when I was doing it.
Oh,
He was
okay.
running the show. It was the
Oh,
very
so
beginning.
not Jeanette Barber.
I think it was
okay.
perhaps before the turnover.
Okay.
But I knew that show, and you got the same set and everything. You inherited the set.
Right.
They kind of whitewashed it.
The other studio on the same floor as SNL.
It's Seth Meyers now.
Right. And
8G, I believe.
Yes, it's 8G.
Across from
and,
Mayday.
It was Donahue back in the day when I was
That's
when
right.
I was
it was
a kid.
Donahue.
It was Donahue.
I
Oh.
love Donahue. I was a way bigger fan of Donahue than
I grew up in
Oprah.
the same town as him too, so his boat was right next
Right.
to my mother's boyfriend. Doesn't matter. In the same town.
And what was I going to say about Debbie Casper? Oh, and I know Rosie because she and I started stand-up together.
So this went to give everyone a time-wise. I'm pretty sure that she just posted pictures of this kid who's like 30 now, probably 20. Parker was brand new to the family.
Right.
She had just
Adopted him.
Right. And
brand
he's
new, and he
30
was.
now?
I know he's like 20. I think he's 20.
Oh, okay.
I know that's a big difference. I was being
It is a
exaggerating.
huge difference, yes.
It's still, to me, it seemed like a lot. To me, it was almost the same. You may as well be
Right.
60. I just can't believe the time whenever I look at pictures like that, and I'm surprised that you were there at the same time.
I
I'm
know,
so
and I
excited.
can't believe how many years ago that is. It's already 17 years ago,
Yeah.
and I look at pictures of myself back then, and I was so young. I was so
Weren't we
young.
all?
Yes.
Your hair is the only thing that looks different
Yeah.
to me. That is it.
Oh, you're nice.
It's shorter
not
and
really.
curlier is all I noticed.
Yeah, same here. Well,
It's
the
shorter
color.
and curlier?
Yeah, well, I guess because we just watched an
the
old
movie.
and it was what was that? My Fellow American.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into it. Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
No,
Well,
it's okay.
whatever.
She brought it up.
Yeah,
I
right.
am more. My tastes are more obscure. Mm-hmm. And when I went down once I found out you were going to be here, I said, "Oh my gosh, that's cool." And then I went to see the other stuff. You're in a million things that I love that most people don't even necessarily know about.
Like,
My Fellow Americans is a
Right.
movie I loved when it came out in, call it 97. I was into all this stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I thought the movie was adorable because it had something for everybody. It was a little bit slapstick in some ways, but yet
Yes.
it's in some ways it was like a Sorkin script of the plot twists and then also the serious nature of they're trying to kill the ex-presidents.
Right.
And they're genuinely killing other people trying to do it.
Yeah, it's pretty
Right.
dark.
It's very dark.
Right.
Meanwhile, there's very light humor in it as well.
Yeah.
And then the ending, I heard you get emotional at the ending because even that was a nice, with Dorothy and the whole thing.
Right.
So I loved that movie. And you worked with, I guess, was it James Reborn
Garner.
in that?
Well,
and James Gardner, of course.
Reborn, yeah, or Reborn, is that how you say it?
Reborn? I don't know.
And James Garner, I worked with, and I met Jack Lemmon, but he and I didn't have scenes
No,
together.
nothing together, yeah.
But James Garner was great.
It was funny, though. You're
I
like,
have
the
a picture of
president's
him
here.
signed to me on my wall at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's fun. You've got good
Yeah. He's
memories like
Maverick.
that.
And I and the Americanization of Emily, which is one of my favorite movies, and I just loved what do you call it? What was the one with Sally Field?
I don't know, but the
Which I
guys and
loved.
girls are so different. I'm like, Grand Prix, right? You're talking about Grand Prix?
Meanwhile, I'm
What was
like
it with Sally
racking my
Field?
brain for like what Sally Field movie it,
It was
could be.
Murphy's Romance.
Oh.
He plays an older guy, and he and Sally Field have a May-December romance, and it's great. It's great.
80s,
I haven't seen
70s,
that one.
80s?
80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a recommend.
I loved it. I mean, how old is it? It's old. It's getting
I remember
on
the
30
box
years
art. I
old.
just haven't seen it, so I know that
Right.
I'm aware of it.
All right, well, that's a recommend. Another one, though, that popped up when I was looking at the IMDb that I didn't remember off the top of my head is another movie I love because I love what it stands for. Gary Shandling's
What Planet
What
Are You
Planet
From?
Are You From?
Yes, and
with
that was
Annette Bening.
that was a great experience. It wasn't a great movie.
It's not a great movie. Neither is the other one, but I
No.
love them both because I can see the good in them.
Right.
If that makes
that's
sense.
nice. That's nice. Yeah, and I have like great.
Like, what,
That's nice.
what an unusual opinion.
Very lovely.
That's sweet.
It's
Keep
very
going.
kind.
Well, what I mean is there's something good in them that appeals to me, and whatever it is, it's good enough for me to like the movie.
Right. Well, I mean, for me,
Like
I was
you're a
working
weirdo.
With, for me, I was working with Mike Nichols, and that was, that was the dream
That's it.
because Mike Nichols and May were my initial inspirations.
Really? Mm-hmm. Well, we should talk about that. How did you get into comedy? Let's not go
Well,
down the resume. Tell us about you.
I just started becoming interested in comedy when I was about 8. And my parents had some comedy albums, and I listened
Who?
to them. Which albums? They had, let me see, they had, the only ones that I
Probably
remember.
Bill Cosby, right? Most people.
No. This
Oh, okay.
is way back.
Oh.
This is like way back in the 60s. So the ones I remember were, it's the early 60s. The ones I remember were.
You're putting me in my place over here, but I'm
very
still saying
early
you look
60s.
damn good.
All right, well, I'm 63. But they had an Arnold Stang album, which I remember him from commercials. He had a really goofy face, Arnold Stang. And they had First Family with Vaughn Meader,
Okay.
which was good until November 22nd, 1963.
Kennedy, yeah.
And they had Nichols and May Examine Doctors. And that's the one that I most loved. And I memorized the entire album. And
Now, I don't know the material. What was it that you liked about it?
well, everything on the album. Do you know Nichols and May's work?
No.
You should check it out.
I mean, I know
They
Mike
were-
Nichols, obviously.
But Mike Nichols and Elaine May were an amazing
Comedy duo?
improv comedy duo. I mean, I mean, ultimately it becomes scripted after. But there's one cut on the album.
Were they a
which
couple
is-
too?
No.
Or just-
well,
okay.
I don't know. I mean, behind the scenes, I don't know what they ever
But not
went
officially.
through, but
Not
no,
characters.
No.
Okay.
And they met in Chicago, and my friend's father managed them back then. Jack Rollins managed them.
You're kidding.
And
Former producer for Late Night with David Letterman.
That's right. And I'm very.
He had Boozler, right? And he had Leno.
Did he have Elaine?
I thought so.
I didn't know that.
I thought so. I thought he only had like.
I don't know if he had Leno. He had Letterman, and he had obviously Woody Allen. He had Harry Belafonte.
Oh my
he had
gosh.
Paula Poundstone. They had Robin Williams. I mean,
I
after
must be
a
thinking
while.
of somebody different. Wow, that's amazing.
It's a good roster.
It was an amazing. That was my dream one day to be repped by Jack Rollins, and I never did, but I became really good friends with two of his daughters.
Oh, wow.
So that's a nice
That's
trade-off.
a good.
Totally.
And so this album was everything on the album had to do. I'm going to take this off. It's hot.
Oh,
Everything on
sure.
the album had to do with. Hold on.
No, you do that, and I'll make it cooler too. But I'm still listening, so is Mrs.
Okay. Everything on the album had to do with doctors in some way. So either there was a patient and a doctor, there were two doctors, there was one where there was a woman who comes to visit Dr. Schweitzer in Africa, and her name was Doris Finch, and her husband's name was Ed Finch. He was just about a mile down the road taking pictures of lions. But she says to Schweitzer, she goes, it would be the greatest thrill in his life if he could take a picture of you by the organ and you'd autograph it for us. Would you? And she just, she's so annoying. And, Schweitzer's being really, really nice. And she said, she finally twists his arm and he goes, okay, I'll do it. And she says, I'll just run down, I'll just go and get him. Ed! And she runs out of the room and he says to his assistant, he goes, Wamba, if that woman comes back, kill her. And so
serious business.
So there's one where there's this doctor who's doing absolutely nothing for the patient, and the woman is going, oh, thank you, doctor, thank you so much. She says her husband is having trouble, and he says, I'll tell you what, load him in the car. And she goes, thank you, and God bless you, at the end of all these machinations that he has her going through. And the one that's most significant in this story is anyway, so I memorized the whole album, and then I've told this story before, and I used to, at night, I was about 9 years old, at night my mom would come, sit on the edge of my bed, I would say my prayers.
Oh yeah.
Jesus. And Maya have come a long way, and then I would do a selection off the album for her, and she didn't know really what to make of this at all.
Wow.
So.
And that was you were choosing that selection, right? It's not like she's like, the one where.
No, she didn't care. I mean, she really didn't care. I mean, I was getting very little encouragement. I really got no encouragement to do what I ultimately did with my life, and am doing with my life. And
okay?
So. What?
Are you
I'm
okay?
just laughing.
Oh, good.
I'm trying to cough, and I'm just keep laughing.
So anyway, there's this one selection that I love. It's the first one on the album. It's called Gauze, and it's a surgeon and his nurse assistant in surgery, and he says gauze. She says gauze, 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 more gauze, more gauze, more gauze, more gauze, more gauze. We don't have any more gauze. That's all the gauze? Yeah, I don't know what happened. We had a small roll of gauze. All right, give me a sponge. Clamp, you have the clamp. Suture, you have the suture. Edith, yes, I love you. Please, please. And it's basically it's this relationship where he is in love with her and she's pushing him away. And finally, he says to her that she's letting the oxygen is failing. She goes, well, let it fail. I don't care. And she says, this patient will die. I don't care. All's fair and all that. And he says he makes her agree to marry him. And that's like, he goes, all right then. She goes, all right then, clamp, clamp, darling. And so, cut to, so I auditioned for. I was getting ready to do my first Tonight Show, and I always used to, when I would get ready to do a show, I'd always put on some music, and I thought, what should I listen to? And I thought, I'm going to listen to Nichols and May. So I put it on, and it was like a great, really wonderful warm-up for me. And
way to put you in the mood, right?
Yeah.
Like going out, for the night. You get the music on.
Yeah. So I go do that, and then years later, I wrote a little blurb for this book that was for the Museum of Broadcasting or Museum of Television and Radio, whatever it's called.
It was
now.
the MTR back then. I used
right.
to. Yep.
So it's called Museum of Broadcasting now, and I wrote a little blurb about that story. And then I go to audition for What Planet Are You From? And I got the call back, and Mike Nichols was going to be there. So I brought in the album that he had signed for me at the Comedy Awards one year. I brought in a copy of this page that I had written about this, that I had put on right before I did the Tonight Show, and which I actually got bumped from that first one, but
every time.
I know. And
common tale.
And then. Like, I didn't get cast, and then a month later I get a call that I did get cast. I thought I would find out much sooner, but I found out a month later that I got cast. So I go to do go to the set. It was a private home in Antelope Valley, and Mike had sprained his foot on some doing something, and he was kind of standing, but he was wearing a boot, so he was not particularly mobile. And he was setting up a shot with his DP, who happened to be Michael Ballhaus, who's now gone, but was an incredible DP. And he's setting up a shot with him, and I just happened to be standing shoulder to shoulder next to Mike Nichols. I just happened to be standing there, and I didn't think about this, but all of a sudden I said, "Gauze." And he said gauze, and I said
You're
gauze,
doing
and
the
he
bit.
said, "We're doing it," except I'm playing his part because he started the bit. So I got confused after a little while, but it was the most incredible experience.
I can't even imagine.
I know.
Doing yo-yo with Tommy Smothers, you know what I mean? Like, I can't even imagine.
That is
It was
awesome.
Unbelievable.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What
Very
do
cool.
people most know Michael Nichols for? Probably the
Graduate was his
Graduate's
first
the famous
film.
thing, right? Mrs. Robinson, You're
Oh.
Trying to Seduce Me, with Dustin Hoffman.
I remember.
and,
I remember that movie very
But
clearly.
then Carnal Knowledge and
I always forget about that.
What else did he do that was incredible?
There's another big one I'm skipping. Like another.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was very
maybe
big.
That's it. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Birdcage was.
Oh, Birdcage. Yeah, that's more contemporary. That's what I was thinking of from the 90s. That was a big
with
one.
Robin Williams and
Nathan Lane.
Nathan,
Yeah, it's a good one.
Right. I mean, tons of movies.
That's so cool. Well, no
great
wonder
story.
you wanted to. Did anything after that?
Well, then when I was 13, I made a conscious decision that I was going to be a stand-up comic. And
13 years old.
13 years old, and then it took me until
What is
I was
it about
25
13
to
years
do
old?
it. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you. I was always funny, and then I was voted class clown that year in ninth grade. I was voted class
It's
clown.
almost like a ticket to LA, isn't it?
Yes,
Like,
that's
well,
what
I
it
have
felt
to follow.
like. That's
if
what
you're
it felt
somebody
like.
who wants to be funny and you get that kind of,
that's a win.
it's an Emmy,
Oh
it's
my
an
God,
Oscar,
you know,
it's everything.
All the girls in my class wanted to either be prettiest or most popular, most likely to succeed.
Married.
But I wanted
Yo.
to be class clown more than anything.
That's awesome.
So that year I decided I was going to be a stand-up comic, and that's when I started to listen to, more Robert Klein, and I was
Oh,
Lily
boy.
Tomlin's characters and George Carlin.
Lily Tomlin from Laugh-In at that point, or
Yes.
Okay, so Edith Ann,
Yes.
you
Right.
loved Edith Ann.
I love
And
The Big Cheer, yeah.
Ernestine.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. So I'm trying to think of who were the other. Were you looking exclusively at Well, you said Robert Klein, so obviously not.
But then I was watching, for years I'd been watching The Ed Sullivan Show and also staying up when I could for The Tonight Show and just watching comics.
So you were like me. Any variety show, any talk
I
show,
would watch,
whatever you could take in.
Joan Rivers.
Me too. When she
Alan
would do
King.
Johnny, and then when she had her own show.
Yes, Alan King. I'm talking about like Ed Sullivan, Jackie Vernon. And then I learned later.
Jackie Mason, maybe?
Say it again?
Jackie Mason,
Jackie
too, maybe?
Mason.
From Sullivan?
Then I learned later that my friend's grandmother was a monologist, a comedian, a really straight monologist, which was like not gimmicky, not like Toady Fields or Phyllis
Cerebral,
Diller.
right? Like,
yes, like
really dry.
You like thinking humor, I can tell just from the names you've thrown out and the
Yeah.
references you've
So
made so
her
far.
name was Jean Carroll, and I learned about her later when I did this off-Broadway show called The Jap Show in New York.
Jap.
Jap.
Oh, it was Jap. Okay.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And the comedian that I introduced in the show was Jean Carroll.
Okay.
It was 4 women at the time when I was doing the show. It was Corey Kahaney put the show together. It was she, myself, Jessica Curson, who's really funny, and Jackie Hoffman, who's hilarious.
All of these names sound familiar to me.
Jackie does a lot of Broadway, and she also
okay.
does a cabaret act. Right now she's doing the Yiddish Fiddler off Broadway.
Was there an existing Yiddish fiddler, or is this something that she concocted?
I'm not sure. No,
it sounds funny.
I'm not sure who conceived it.
I'm going to say it's an adaptation. I don't think it's the real original.
Figaro, and the whole thing. I'm just thinking, it's an open book. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Johnny at all? I hate to bounce around so much, but I'm such a fan of comedy, as I told you before the show.
Yeah, so
Tell us everything.
Honestly, I'm so excited.
Well, I watched The Tonight Show for years. I mean, when I started watching The Tonight Show, it was an hour and a half long. And it was
the 90 minutes.
And it was also broadcast from New York originally when I started watching it.
So you really were the early 60s,
yes.
early mid-60s,
Well, I was born in 55.
Did you watch it alone or with your family, or did you sneak it?
Well,
great question.
When I was babysitting, I watched it alone.
Yeah, okay.
And I watched it during the week. I really couldn't stay up for it. So Friday nights I would watch it.
Mm-hmm. Well, those were the best shows too.
Yes.
For me anyway. I always used to like that. They were looser.
And excuse me. And yeah, there was no way of getting around weeknights. I just couldn't watch it when I was very young. But in high school, I could watch it.
Okay.
She's asking, I think, because when I was a little kid, I lived in a mid-century ranch-type house,
Yes.
and long hallway with the bedrooms off. Right. The TV room was one of the bedrooms type of thing at the end of the hall. And my bedroom was down the hall, and I would sneak out of bed. I mean, like climb over the railing, like, I should have a bed at this point. Sneak out of bed and go down the hall back, because my parents were up. So I wanted to be with my parents, but they were watching Johnny.
Oh,
so Johnny's on the old TV, on the thing, on the table on the floor, and they're on the couch, and I would lay on the floor.
Did they know you were there?
Underneath the arm of the couch. So they were on the couch, and I'm just and I would fall asleep there often, and my dad would carry me to bed later.
And they didn't trip over you?
No, they would. Well, they would pick me up. I'm sure, maybe, I don't really know.
Wow.
But that was like, I remember that early, laying on the carpet and the whole thing. I remember all that stuff.
I remember being like, the TV was in the portable TV was in my parents' bedroom, and I had to go to sleep at like 8 o'clock or something when I was really little. But I remember like going, like, my head. I put my head where my feet were supposed to be, and I'm like this, and I'm straining to listen to That Was the Week That Was. Do you know that show?
I'm aware of it.
It was a great, groundbreaking show. Which
it was not dissimilar to a Dateline type show, right?
But it was funny.
Oh, I see.
It was funny. It was.
I may not know it.
And I don't even remember who was on it, but it was a really, and it was adult humor. I really liked adult humor.
Yeah.
I was really
smarter.
Well,
adult,
not party albums. No, not like that. Not like dirty stuff. But I mean, I really liked comedy that was targeted to grown-ups, thinking people who read.
Did you have
at a very young age?
At a young age, I didn't have a lot of friends because I was exactly like what you were describing, and I focused at it. I wouldn't listen to what I was supposed to do. Oh, you should be outside playing with your friends or doing your homework or whatever. I would say, no, I'm learning this. I'm going to need this stuff, so I'm taking it in. This is my education. I don't know if...
I'm trying to think if I had I had friends. I had friends. I don't know if I had a lot of friends, but I had a group of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't...
You know what I mean? I kind of segregated myself because I was a weirdo.
But I did a lot of things by myself, too.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of 3.
Oh, so you were a little bit on your own? A little
bit on my own. My older sisters were more together at that point in our lives. And I used to wake up early in the morning, and I would do things to amuse myself. Certainly on weekends I would draw, which I never do anymore. I loved drawing, and I was.
Me too.
I was good at copying things. I was never good at doing originals, but I was an excellent copier.
Not tracing, but looking at it.
Copying. I mean, I was really good. In fact, I copied we were studying the national anthem or something we were doing in 4th grade, and we had to draw a picture of Francis Scott Key. Oof. And I copied it out of the World Book Encyclopedia, which is what we had, and it
detailed.
was excellent. It was excellent, and it was chosen to be on the outside bulletin board, outside of the classroom. And then my teacher
It's like
said
being
she had
published.
to, yeah, but
It's
then
a
my
big deal.
teacher said she had to take it down because it was copied, and I was horrified that she would do that. It wasn't like I traced it, like you were
I
saying.
agree.
What were you
What's
supposed
the
to do?
difference?
That's a tough
I mean,
What,
it's-
assignment.
any art is generally
And
there's
exactly,
a
there's a
model.
model. I'm still.
I take issue with this
still,
also.
I have a resentment against Mrs. Abrams.
Fair.
This is one of
I'm
those.
with you.
I'm against the judges on Match Game on this one. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing.
I'm with you.
The Gene Rayburn days. Although Alex good too.
So anyway, so that's when I started watching The Tonight Show, and of course, when I decided to become a comedian, I thought I'm going to be on The Tonight Show, and that was every comic stream. And then to get The Tonight Show when I did was an amazing thing. Now the first.
How old were you?
When I got The Tonight
Yeah.
Show, I was
I'm saying that because you must have been very young.
29 or 30, 29
So cool.
or 30.
How long were you trying to get at?
Not that long.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
I think I'd been passed over before, but I was very green when I did The Tonight Show. You know, I go back and look at it. I'm a little uncomfortable watching my Tonight Show
Really?
sets. Yeah.
The material or your performance, or both?
Both. I really feel like. I feel like I've grown a lot.
That's a
as
good thing, though,
comedian.
right? I mean,
guess
you're
so,
making
yeah.
a frowny face, but that's a good
No,
thing.
it is a good thing. I mean, look, I've been doing this for 38 years. So when I first did,
Congratulations.
thank you. When I first did The Tonight Show, I'd been doing it for about 8 years,
Wow,
which is like nothing.
that's amazing to me. When
Really
we have all the
nothing.
people who've been here 20, 30 years, it's amazing that a decade is nothing.
It's
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, everybody says the same thing.
And when I watch it, oh God,
It
I'm
shows it?
sorry. I just want to make sure it's not.
Don't worry
my
about
sister.
it.
Okay.
Don't worry about us.
Hi, sister.
This is my sister. I'm going to see on Friday. I'm so excited.
Oh, tell her to settle down.
I'm flying back to. My mother just turned 97.
Congratulations to
Thank
her.
you.
Oh, my
Happy
goodness.
birthday.
And
That's
I'm flying
something.
to Baltimore, and we're going to be with my niece and her family. And then we're going to drive back to New York on Sunday, and we're going to celebrate my mom's birthday belatedly. It was February 8th.
Very
so
cool.
We're going to celebrate it on Monday.
Bring a sweater.
She live in Baltimore?
Yes, I will bring a sweater. My mom lives in New York, but
Oh.
my niece and her family live in Baltimore. So my sister
Oh.
and her husband will be there, and then I'll spend a couple of days there, and then drive. I'm
That's
excited.
nice.
I love
That sounds
going back
nice.
east. I
That
miss
sounds
it.
really
And it sounds like a little bit of it's more like the holidays continuation in this case.
And I go back like at least 3 or 4 times a year now.
Oh, great.
At least.
How long have you been out here? Again, we're bouncing
Since
around. but-
85, so 33, it'll be 34 years this summer.
Wow.
Were you always on the west side?
I did a very short stint in West Hollywood, and then I moved to Santa Monica in 91.
All right, so almost.
Yeah,
And
pretty
then a
much.
couple of times out of LA, but for the most part always in LA since 85.
Wow. All right, back to Johnny though, just
Okay,
because.
so back to Johnny. So
Are
the
there any
first-
stories or anything that you?
Well, the first couple of times I did it with Jay, and then I did it with Johnny.
That's kind of what they did back then, right?
Well, no, it was just because I was bumped. The first time I was supposed to do it with Johnny, and then
Oh,
I was
really?
bumped, and then they could get me on sooner if I did it with Jay, and I knew Jay, so it was very comfortable.
Was it? It wasn't the same famous talent booker back then.
It was Jim McCauley.
It was Jim McCauley.
Yes.
Who was Rick Overton on the show.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
And so then I remember that my second time, or it could have been more, but it was the second or third time when I was waiting backstage to do, the band was playing, and I'm standing backstage waiting for the guys to page the curtain for me, and Jim's standing back next to me, and he says, we really would like you to do the show with Johnny. And I said, I know, but I really want to do panel because I've already done panel with Jay. And I didn't want to just like awkwardly not do panel. And
It feels like a downgrade, doesn't
and
it?
it did,
Yeah.
yeah.
It feels
So
it, yeah.
so he said, I said, can we talk about it another time? Because I was like getting ready to go out and do a set.
He's getting in
So-
your head on purpose, probably now.
Right.
but-
So,
wow, that's so
so I
funny.
did go on with Johnny, and I did do panel. But so I'll tell you. So I did it with Johnny either 4 or 5 times, and with Jay either
goodness.
4 or 5 times.
That's a lot.
And
All right
yeah.
around the corner in Burbank.
I know. And the last time on the show, you know, Johnny had that mug on his
There's one right behind you.
right, and I have my friend Mark Schiff. When he ordered from the company that made
No
those
longer
mugs.
in business. Burbank Mug Company. I
And
know
he
too.
ordered mugs with our names for a few of us, a few friends.
Oh, that's rad.
So,
That's amazing.
so anyway, so
That's awesome.
since John had that mug, I decided that I wanted to bring him a gift because it was going to be the last time he was leaving the show. It was going to be my last time doing the show with him. So I went to the
We're
mall.
92 now.
I went to the mall and I had my picture taken and put on a mug for him.
Like things remembered, like that kind
Right.
of thing.
It was
Yep.
like a little cart.
The kiosk.
You know? Yeah, right. So I did that and I was wearing a sweatshirt. My hair was shitty and everything. So I presented him on the show. And then a few months later, my friend Jim Brogan was going to go do the show, and Jim would come with me a lot when I did the
Long-time
show.
Leno writer, Jimmy, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and he came with me a lot to do the show. Like he would go around town. We would go around town with each other to practice our sets in the clubs.
You'd know him if you saw him. We've seen him down at Comedy Magic. Kind of nerdy glasses,
Yes.
gray hair.
Cool.
Very
and
funny.
a lot of times gets mistaken for Fritz Coleman.
Oh my God! I could totally see that.
Both of
The
them.
weatherman?
Yeah. Yes.
Totally see
Yes.
that. I've never put that together,
Yes.
but I could totally see that.
And so Jim and I would go around with each other and do practice our sets when we were getting ready to do the show. And the key that we remembered, if it bombs in the clubs, you're going to kill on the show.
No shit.
That's a good tip.
Because it's a different skill set.
Is it the
completely.
audience or is it the communication?
It's the It's the type of communication it is that you're doing. It's a completely different level of expectation. When you do a club, you're supposed to engage. When you're practicing your set, you're practicing it for timing, for segues. You're not dealing with
you create a
anything
divide,
present.
yeah.
So there's a definite divide. Anyway, so Jim came. So Jim would accompany me, and I would accompany Jim, and he would bring like 3 different shirts, all versions of blue and white stripe. And I would help him choose which blue and white stripe shirt to wear. So I'm
That must
wandering
have been
around.
the era.
So I'm wandering around backstage before the show starts, and because I was very comfortable and familiar with the whole set, and
The hallways were legendary, right?
yes, and I just see the supply closet was open, and I just peeked in there, and I see the mug that I gave to Johnny, like sitting on top of a stapler or something. And I go to the
'Cause
stage
the prop
manager.
guy grabbed it or whatever
I
instead
go to
of
the stage manager and I go, I can't believe this. I'm so upset. And he said, Kathy, don't take it personally. He gets so much stuff. He can't possibly take everything home. So I said, can I have it? He goes, yeah. So I took it home. So I still have the mug.
How cool!
And it's in our storage. It's in our storage
That's
bin.
great.
But you gave it to him on the air, right?
Yes, I did give it to him.
So
on the
that's
air.
so cool. You have a Johnny Carson screen.
I gave it to him on
mug
the
that
air,
you
and
gave him.
I have.
Now you have it. That's
That is
pretty rad.
very, very cool.
And when he died, that was a really sad night.
Yeah.
That was the passing of an era. It's kind of like when Sinatra died, passing of an era. You know.
Gary
Yeah.
Gary Shanley used to talk about he was renting a house out in Malibu at the same
Right.
time in 2005, whenever that was, and the same sort of thing. He heard the news and he looked out at Point Doom, and it was like the sunset. You know what I mean? It was like a different
Right.
day.
Right.
It was and when he went off the air, it was like, oh, we lost him, but we didn't think we were going to lose him. We thought he was going to come back someday. He never did, but we thought he was. And then when he's
Right.
gone, it's a different thing.
different.
It's just
Right.
more solid.
Yeah, yeah, and
And the
I
house
remember.
is still there. We've driven by the house.
Oh, really?
It still looks beautiful.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
I don't
gorgeous.
think I've
The
ever
ye-
seen it.
The grounds are still.
Oh, I
beautiful.
have
it's still
I'll have
up kept.
to-
I think it's for sale for like 80 million or something.
Okay,
Yeah, go get it.
I'll put in a bid.
It's like Tony Stark's place out on the the
Put
point
in a
there.
bid. I've already taken a pencil with me.
Wow.
But anyway, so when he died, I remember the newscaster said that suggested that people sit down
Oh my God.
because he was so
Oh.
he was such a piece of Americana.
More than a president.
yeah.
Lasted like 5 or 6 presidencies.
Yes, I mean he did it for was it 20 some odd years
30.
or 30?
He made the 30, yeah.
30.
And
You
even
made
then,
30?
he did 30. Yeah.
Jeez. I always forget that part.
Yeah, that's crazy. Such a big deal.
Yeah.
But the
So-
other thing people don't understand too is it's not just that he was on the air for 30 years. It was the only thing on the air for 30 years.
That's right.
Anything
And
that
there
ever
three
came up,
channels
it got
then, right?
killed quickly.
Well, there were
Three-ish,
three
four.
major networks, and where I grew up, and probably some similar to where you
We
grew
had all
up.
the New York stations.
So
we're-
I had 2, 4, and 7 were the major
Yep.
a
CBS,
CBS, NBC, and ABC. Then we had 5, which was WNEW.
New York,
Then we had
New York Fox,
Okay.
Then we had 9, which was WOR.
where Howard used to do the Channel 9 show.
Right. Okay.
Then
Fort Lee, right?
what?
Fort Lee, New Jersey?
Yes. Then Channel 11, WPIX. Then Channel 13 was educational
That's
TV,
PBS
PBS,
for us, yeah.
WNET, local. And
We had the exact same.
And then on UHF, we had Channel 31, and it was the dial that was a soft dial. It didn't click. You kind of
Had
tuned it
many
like
more
a
numbers
radio.
on it.
You
Many
tuned it
more.
like a radio. It would kind of fade in and fade out. It was like what would be kind of cable access at
There were 2 knobs.
right,
The first
yeah.
one only went from 2 to 13, and then maybe had then
Right.
then UHF and VHF maybe. So 2 to VHF,
Right.
And then that second one was when you were on UHF or VHF.
Right.
That was this kind of fine tuning
like fine.
thing,
Yeah.
just like an old radio in a car. But I grew
So
up
I
with the
guess-
same thing.
VHF was what, variable high fidelity, and
know.
UHF was
I don't know. They were all snowy for
don't
me
know.
once you got to those levels. You know, we
That's
lived in the sticks.
hilarious.
yeah.
I feel like I might have had access to those because we had bunny ears at one point, but
Oh
like
yeah, that's what you're looking
Where
for.
did you grow
like
up?
upstate New York near
Oh,
Rochester.
right. Okay.
I'm near Canada, so it's like who
Right.
knows? And if the weather's bad, like
Right.
try again.
But WOR, I'm sorry, I interrupted
No.
No, it's good.
you. WOR is like isn't it a superstation now?
I think
Oh
so.
yeah, now
I
Yeah,
think it
so.
is.
I mean, nothing's the same anymore.
yeah.
From when we, and they've all got different. You know, everything's digital. So there's like 5 channel 4s now. You know, channel 4.1, 0.2,
Right,
0.3. I
right.
mean, it's a little.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't know.
not clamoring for content.
Right, and then it was WABC in New York and
K out here.
KABC here.
With the
It was like
Mississippi, I believe.
McCormick and Schilling
Yeah.
and Hellman's.
Hellman's and Best Foods.
That's the one.
what I always
Yeah.
go to.
jeez, they're all the same. Turns out.
Totally.
Yes, but you cross the Mississippi and things happen. Labels change.
Whole different world. It's a frontier, for goodness sake. When you were originally, when I didn't know your name, and Richard was like, "Oh, Kathy Ladman," I said, "Okay, great." And he said, "Curb Your Enthusiasm." Now, obviously, people know and love Curb Your Enthusiasm. What did you do on Curb Your Enthusiasm? Because I love that show.
I just shot another episode, which will be on this season, but
Oh.
I do something completely different. But
Oh, it's a
the-
different character.
Yes.
Start over.
But the
okay.
first, which is fine. I really look different. My hair was dark the first time, and I played myself the first time.
Oh, cool.
I just run into Larry, and it was if you know the show, it was the episode where he donates a building and it has his
Oh, the
name on
wing.
it. Then Ted Danson takes his
Anonymous.
name off, and it's anonymous. It's the anonymous donor episode.
Holy shit, that's
So
a
I
really
tell
funny
him,
episode too.
Yeah, I tell him that I think that people should know he's the anonymous donor, and I've been
I
telling
remember
him.
absolutely. You do. You bump into each other.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
And I'm wearing a poncho that I knitted in that episode.
That is.
So, are you just in
awesome.
that as yourself because you're friends with the crew? Is that how it is? Just
I don't
she'd
know.
be good.
I
Oh,
mean,
let's-
I don't
let's just
know.
bump
I was
into-
just asked to do the show, and they told me what they
That's what
needed
they
me to
wrote.
do, and Larry called me Kathy, and I called him Larry, and that was that.
Do you know Larry? I mean, we don't know him. So
I know him. I mean, I don't know him really well. He started stand-up before I was doing it.
in New York as well.
Yes. But I know him through other people. My manager knows him well.
Oh, gotcha. Who's your
And
manager?
Judy Orbach.
Do you know Judy? Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah.
Your old life.
Yes. Here it is.
All right. So we know how you got into comedy. We know why you got into comedy. Is there anything that you haven't done that you still want to do? Is there anything
Well,
that...
the solo show that I just hit this.
That's okay.
You're loud.
The solo, I'm so afraid to make mistakes, which is really a
You s-
very, very big part of the solo show that I'm doing.
What's it called?
It's called "Does This Show Make Me Look Fat?" And it's about, I know I'm so afraid that the show's not going to live up to the title. It's about my eating disorder. It's about living with and recovering from anorexia, and how comedy really essentially saved me from that disease.
So you're putting it on your sleeve and you're just going to go out there. Fantastic.
And I really think, that this, I've been working on this show on and off for 18 years, different iterations of it, and I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I really feel like I want to do something more of service at this point. Like I want to entertain, but I really want to be helping people too.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not helping people by bringing laughter. I think that's a service. But
it's
I
a
think
big one, especially these days. So
yes,
don't
but
discount it. But I understand what you're saying.
But let's not kid anybody. It's very self-serving. It's very self-serving.
That's okay. That's okay. You're still giving at the same time. It's all fine.
Agreed. Mutually beneficial.
When I was a kid, the saying was, "There's no such thing as true altruism," and I stand by that every time. And so, a comedy falls in that category. Like,
I think Mother Teresa probably was feeding herself. I
I heard
think
she
it's
had a
human.
Coca-Cola every once in a while. She need a little pepper.
That's right.
So this show though, is it? Where are you going to do it?
Well, I have to speak to my director. We got to set a deadline. It's going to be soon.
Good.
And I'm inputting the next bit of writing, and then I'm going to have to do several rewrites.
How can we help with this? How can we help make this process happen?
Oh my God, you're so sweet.
Well, no, we're the same way. That's something we ask sometimes, just because we're in the same kind of boat. We want to push the positivity. We want to make the world a better place, and we believe that you can do it one person
when
at a
I
time.
call on you to have people come to my performances, I think that would be a great help, and you can come. And I think at this point, I think that would be the best thing that you could do for me, and send like-minded and well-wishing people.
You got it.
Yeah.
You're a delight. I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface, and I want to talk to you
done
for 2
already?
days. No, not really, but it's kind of,
Time does fly.
Maybe 10 minutes left. I would say if there's anything you want to talk about. I feel like I've just been sitting here picking your brain. I don't know if this is going to be amusing for other people.
I don't know. Well, who listens and watches? So what does your audience like to talk about?
It's not really.
They like to learn about what we like. They like to learn about what we like.
Did you say car people?
Yeah.
Why so?
We, well, you know our history. I mentioned that with Mrs. Ryan's MS and stuff.
Yes.
To add insult to injury, around the same time, I went through a health scare too, and we weren't sure if I was going to make it. And so we both were just like, holy crap,
my God,
life redo.
This is like a come to Jesus moment.
So we started making little videos and taking photos, and I was never on Instagram. We started that stuff then as a place to kind of catalog our stuff.
That's
wow.
Yeah,
that's what I told him.
No matter what happens, someday she's not going to remember this stuff, and someday I might not be here. You know what I mean? Like all of these things.
Oh, wow.
So that's how it started, and then, we made some friends, and people started following, and then one thing led to another. Should we put some effort towards this? Maybe this could be our thing.
Right.
Podcast started. Now we're doing a talk show.
But why car? Why car people? I'm not quite understanding the connection.
Oh, sorry. Our adventures were driving our little Porsche and through the mountains and going on trips and going different places, so it became interesting and visually stimulating, things like that.
All right, gotcha.
And I'm always into cars because Letterman in my town always drove around cool cars, so of course I imprinted.
Do you like watching Jerry's show?
I do very much, yeah, very much.
Jerry Seinfeld and I go way back. He was my first love when I was 15 and he was 16.
No kidding.
Come on.
No, this is amazing. So
we met.
Did you ever date?
Yes.
Oh, you really did?
Yes, we met.
So we've had two people here who've dated Jerry Seinfeld, Carol Leifer being the other.
Oh, Leifer, right. Yeah. We met when I was on a teen tour to Israel.
You met on the tour?
Jerry and I met on a teen tour to Israel. Awesome. I was 15, he was 16. And it just so happened that he was from Massapequa Park.
I was just about to ask if you were from Massapequa as well.
I was not. I'm from Little Neck, Queens. But my father owned a bowling alley in Massapequa Park, which is the town over. So my father knew Cal Seinfeld, Jerry's father, who made signs. And my father said, I didn't use him. He was too expensive. And his prices are out of line. And but Jerry and I used to rendezvous at the bowling alley because Jerry was not driving at the time and I wasn't driving at the time. So I would sometimes stay at Jerry's house. Sometimes he would come to Little Neck, stay over at my house. And
Did he know you wanted to be funny? Did you know he wanted to be funny?
Well, interestingly enough, and he will verify this, I was the first person to ever suggest to Jerry that he should become a stand-up comic.
Get out.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I told him I wanted to be a stand-up comic, and I said, you should really think about this.
This is
Because
amazing.
you'd be great.
We see him frequently at car things, obviously.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I mean, we don't
Okay.
know him at all, but we've talked to him and said we see him
Well,
frequently. We know a lot of the
he-
same people.
And so he, and then later, when I was having a hard time starting because I was too scared, I happened to see him on the Tonight Show, his first Tonight Show, and I called him up, and he was coming to New York the following week, and I made us dinner, and we went around the city, and he was doing sets, and I told him I was really wanting to do this, but I was scared, and he says, you would be so great at this, and he mentored me and held my hand
That's
the first
Holy
year while I was
smokes. Do
on
people know
stage.
that? That's a
Some
neat
people do.
thing.
That's going to be part. That's the story.
Part of
I'm
your
bringing
show.
up the story in my show because
Good.
it's a big
for you,
story.
for,
yeah,
for your story.
yeah, it's a big story, and it's a lifesaver for me, comedy, and
Which is part of the whole overcoming. Mm-hmm. This is very interesting.
Yeah,
You are
yeah.
definitely there's a lot here.
Keep
I don't know where to
talking,
go.
but
There's a
there's
lot
a
here.
ton in common. Just know that you're not speaking to a room of like, oh, it's neat.
and
Like,
I just
we
got a
totally
new
are.
car. It's not
What
it's not
kind?
going to excite you.
I don't care.
I wanted to get a hybrid.
Great.
I had a car for 15 years. It was getting really old.
What was it?
A Honda Accord.
Oh, okay.
Good, reliable
How
car.
sensible.
Had 153,000 miles on it, and I always drove sedans. My first car was a Volvo station wagon.
Oh,
which
I love that.
I bought from my dad, and it was a
I'd still drive that.
1974 Volvo station
I
wagon.
still drive it. Yep.
Yeah, it's a great car. My father drove Volvos all the time, except for his Mercedes, which drove us crazy when he had that. It was a 1960 Mercedes coupe
Oh.
convertible. He was insane about it. He would park like farther away from
Yeah.
where we started to get where we were going. Just
I like
he
your
was
dad.
so afraid. Whenever I take an end spot in a parking lot, I always think Leo would like this. Leo would like this because you only have to worry about one car, and don't park next to two-door cars.
Bigger doors.
Bigger doors,
Longer
and they're
doors.
they're very selfish. People don't look. People don't look.
No, they don't.
So anyway, I was wanting to get a hybrid, and I wasn't finding, and I want to keep my monthlies very low because my income is very unpredictable.
Sure, of course.
I'm not doing the road anymore for the most part. I'm an actor, and it's an unpredictable life. I'm not a series regular, So I wanted to keep my monthlies low, and nobody was having good lease deals. And then I discovered Kia, and I got a Kia Niro.
I don't know that one, but they make great cars.
It's a great car, and it's a
We'll
little
get that
hatch-
move for you next time too. We'll
Well,
get that
I put it
put
there.
somewhere else.
I put it there. I didn't want it to block my face, so I put it here. But now it's blocking my hand. Anyway, so I'll do a sit side saddle. So I got this car, and it was a bit of a learning curve, but now I'm really
Well, what's
enjoying
different about it?
Well,
More
it's a
power,
hybrid.
probably?
No, less. It's
less
power.
power.
Is it
Okay.
another sedan? That's your
It's
jam?
not a sedan.
It's
I was
an
deciding
SUV?
between an Optima and the Niro. An Optima, it was really nice. An
The
Optima.
Optima is the sedan, the
Yes,
regular.
it had a slightly larger engine. This is a 1.6. Optima had 2.0, and slightly less fewer miles per gallon. Although right now I'm not getting such great miles per
Nobody
gallon.
does. Nobody
I
gets
know.
what they're supposed to get.
But it's still
Those things-
much.
I'm telling you, those things
I'm
are a
getting
sham.
I'm getting twice what I got in my Honda.
So
which is
that's
fantastic.
great. Is this an SUV? The Niro?
It is considered a crossover. It's a mini SUV.
I had the CRV. Is it ish in the family?
It's slightly smaller than the CRV,
Okay.
I think, but I really like it. I like sitting
That's
up a little bit
awesome.
higher.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, I went
Is
to
that your
put-
first time? Like in the first, you've never had that kind of?
Well, I'm thinking the Volvo station wagon. I don't remember. It was so long ago.
No,
It was
it would have been low, too.
1975.
No, but being up higher in LA is nice because everyone else is up high.
Yeah, and when I went to sit in the Honda the other day, which my husband now has, and I had to hang the parking tag on it, and I was sitting so low. I was
Yeah.
really
It was probably your husband's
surprised.
settings too when you sat in the car, right?
That's true. He's 6'4", and he probably lowered. The
Yeah,
seat.
that'll do it.
Yeah,
6'2".
We used to have that issue too.
right. Yeah. How tall are you?
5'4" on a good
Me
day.
too.
6'2".
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it happens.
So I'm really enjoying this new car. I'm just loving
Congratulations.
That's
Plus,
awesome.
getting a new
it.
car
For
of anything
the first
is
time
pretty
in
nice.
15 years.
That's a big deal.
And it's a horrible thing to go through, the buying.
Yeah.
There's
not fun.
I
It's
tried
not
to use.
fun.
I was using a broker, but he never called me back. And I was
Really?
thinking, is it
Oh, for a Kia.
because? Is it because I don't want an expensive car? Is that
It's
why?
possible,
Yes.
yeah.
But that's so rude to just
Of
tell
course.
me it's not worth your while.
Agreed. But
Like
these
one
days,
day I
people
said to
can
him,
be
"Are you
rude.
breaking up with me?"
Oh,
And he goes, "No," and then he didn't call
Yes,
me back.
but yeah, he
real-
no.
Yeah.
It's a-
Sounds like real dating.
It was really, yeah. It was really, he really.
Do you like
ghosted
me too? I'll text you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
I know you write your own material. Do you write as well? Do you write?
Yeah,
I know you're writing your show, but
Well, I'm writing my show. I did write on a couple of shows. I wrote on Roseanne, and I wrote
the
on
original Roseanne.
the original Roseanne,
Oh, good for
second to
you.
last, the penultimate season.
Well, that was the good one. No
It
offense.
was a good season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the one where Dan technically dies in the story, but that leads up to the wedding, right?
No. The penultimate season.
The second to last, right? Not the one where they're
doesn't-
lottery winners and the whole bit.
No, right. He dies.
No.
No.
He doesn't die in that season, but at the end we find out he did.
Oh,
he has
we
the heart
do?
attack at Darlene's wedding or whatever
Oh,
at the end of your
God.
season.
I don't even really.
Am I wrong about that? I'm pretty sure I'm
I don't
right. And then the
remember.
whole
You
last
you
season,
sound
we,
like you're right.
we
You
find out
sound-
that,
and
He's
I
very
sound
confident,
tentative.
and I
the very
do
last
think you're
episode
right.
is Roseanne pulling away, and we finds out she's been a writer the whole time, and nothing that
Of
we had
that
seen the last
season? I thought it
nothing
was
we
the
saw.
finale.
Guys, stop talking, and I'll get it to you.
Oh my God.
It's a long pull out of blah 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 blah. Yeah, and ever
Oh.
since Dan died, and it's everything from that last season where they won the
Wow.
lottery and everything was fantastical. None of it occurred. The adventures on the trains
wow.
and none of it actually happened. She was just living her life,
Right.
writing in the basement studio that Dan had made for
Yeah.
her.
Oh my
It was
God.
gut wrenching, and I really loved it because it really made up for that awful season and
Yeah.
made yours the end of the show,
Right.
which is
right.
cool.
Well, I didn't. We don't have time now, but I have a good Roseanne story to tell you too.
Well, I hope
but-
you'd consider coming back. We
Oh,
would love to talk
absolutely.
more
This
with you.
was great fun.
Oh, good. Okay,
Oh,
good.
good.
Plus, I love sitting in such dark lighting.
Fabulous. Don't say that. Do you know Wendy Hammers?
Yes.
You for right now, just looking across there was a Wendy Hammers thing. I think maybe the silver hair was striking, and yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Wendy and I have a man in common. Her first husband
Oh.
was my boyfriend.
we know her current husband, Garth, through the
Yeah.
car industry.
Oh, of course. That's right. That makes sense.
What a weird small
Yeah.
world. Holy smokes! All right, please come back.
I will come back.
All
I would
right,
love
we'll give you
to.
another pencil and everything.
Okay. I know there are no limits, but you know.
Shh, don't tell everybody. All right, Mrs. Ryan. Oh wait, how do people stay in touch with you? How do people contact you? Social media, anything like
My
that?
website's everything is pretty obvious except for my Instagram because I couldn't figure it out and I had to put a 1 next to it. So my Instagram is Cathy Ladman 1, I believe. My website is CathyLadman.com. Twitter is Cathy Ladman. It's all
the easy stuff. All right,
Yeah.
but we should follow you. People should follow you, of
Yes,
course.
please.
We should keep eyes out for this one-woman show that's going to come out at some
Right.
point.
'Cause you're
Entitled, does
setting
this
a
show make me
deadline.
look fat?
Yes,
Just
I'm
so
setting a
good.
deadline.
Dude, if you need any off the record stories, let me know.
I know everybody's got something with food.
Yes.
Everybody's got something with food.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice though? Once you start talking about it, then you hear what everybody's stuff is, and it makes them. So you're doing like whether you realize it or not, you're doing amazing help for people.
I know, and I really want to do this show in colleges and eating disorder facilities.
Take
and
it on the road.
I want to.
That's the kind of show that would do well on the road, I
Yes.
think, because
Yes.
versus come to me. It's like a
Right.
Tony Robbins type show. Like I'm going to come to you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be involved
I'm
with
on
this.
board.
I think it's good. I think it's good. I think it's going to do good things. All right, Mrs. Ryan. Tomorrow we've got Renee Olstead,
Tommy's wife.
Tommy's wife, but also she was from the show Still Standing and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh, right.
Thursday we've got Steve Heitner is here. He was Banya from
Oh,
Seinfeld.
I know Steve from
Yeah.
New York. Yeah.
course.
He's great.
And then Friday we're back at Breakfast Club. So
Yeah.
that's the week.
What's Breakfast Club?
Newcomb's Ranch. You should come up sometime with your new. What's your car called?
No.
Kia Nero.
Nero, with your new Nero. It's Newcomb's Ranch is a little tiny hideaway up in the mountains up at Angeles Crest, and we go up there. We see snow. We hang out. It's
Oh, my
fun. We have
God.
coffee and breakfast every
Friday
Friday
mornings.
morning. with a bunch
What
of creative
time?
people. They open at 9 and we get there right about then. And
You
honestly,
do?
we stay till about noon. It's a blast.
Oh my God, I would love to do that.
It's really fun.
Please
We'll
do.
talk on the other side.
There you go. Other than that, I love you, Mrs.
Love you
Ryan.
too.
We love you, Kathy
I
Ladman.
love you guys.
Love you
That's so
lots.
sweet.
We love all of you at home. Please love one another, and we will see you tomorrow.
Cool.
That's so nice.
Nice.
Oh, what a lovely show this is. Back to you guys. Good.